The right is everywhere online these days. They dominate all of the biggest areas of the biggest platforms, and it seems like you can't go anywhere without seeing some nonsense chud slop thrown in your face or shoved down your throat. All the while, it seems like more than ever, you really gotta go digging to find any left-wing content creators whatsoever, much less ones putting out good content, you know? It just seems like we're in what I've deemed or dubbed the era of chud slop. The right has taken over the internet. The left has largely kind of let go of any aspirations of growing its presence online. It's instead niched down hard, primarily around Hassan and his orbit, and it's led to a very problematic time on the internet where, more so than ever, we're seeing creators who are LGBTQ or fall into certain marginalized demographics get targeted with mass harassment campaigns from right-wing creators who have a, admitted interest in using their power, their size, their prominence, their, resources to bully, marginalized people off of the internet, off of these platforms, keep them from creating content, keep them from making, like, big viral banger posts, keep them from coming up with memes that influence the online culture. It's been a massive issue, and it's been going on for over a year now, but recently the Democrats have made a decided effort to try and counter this and undo some of the damage that's been done by the right more or less having a full monopoly of internet culture. And in response to that, people are starting to have the conversation of, like, what happened? How did this go down? Like, how did we let this happen? Another thing I saw, actually, that actually really backs up this point I really liked, was actually on the ContraPoint subreddit. I was scrolling through Reddit this morning, and I'll get recommended the ContraPoint subreddit sometimes, and this post got recommended to me. I saw this. Someone had tweeted, we didn't know how good we had it. And it's like a big twister of a meme from back in a few years ago when Pride Month would be coming, when LGBT people online would complain about rainbow capitalism. It's like, here it comes, as if it's like a bad thing when all these companies do this. And this person says, we didn't know how good we had it. ContraPoints quote tweets them saying, I fucking told y'all, you hipster trash. And then a callback to a tweet from 2022. I can't even enjoy the anti-corporate pride jokes because to me, gay cornflakes or whatever feels like one of the few remaining signs that fascism isn't winning. Help. I really do love this tweet. I fucking told y'all, you hipster trash. God damn, dude. You know? ContraPoints is starting to win points over for me again. She's starting to recapture my heart, I must say. So with that said, there's been a lot of conversation about how the left can retake the internet after losing it. And with that in mind, I figured this would be a good conversation to have as we watch a video recommended to me by you guys about this exact topic. It's simply called How the Left Lost the Internet. It was made by a creator named The Hazel Is Online. And if you guys end up liking the video, there'll be a link down below in the description for you guys to go watch the original, where I highly recommend you leave a like and a comment and even subscribe. Maybe even say something nice in the comments section. Say like, Zan sent me or whatever. Original video down below. Recommend you check it out. But I guess with that said, let's get right into it.
So shouldn't there be an alt-left pipeline by now? And don't say Tumblr, because all I can find on there is censored furry porn and, like, screenshots of tweets that are 10 years old at this point. Not to sound like a fucking YouTuber or anything, but let's get into it. There is no alt-left pipeline, because for the longest time, the internet was the alt-left pipeline. Maybe it doesn't feel like it anymore, but for
a time, I think BreadTube qualified as this for a while. I'd say so. I'd say that, like, for a good 2 years, BreadTube qualified as, like, an alt-left pipeline. And Hassan was probably the king of it, even back then. And it was actually, like, growing and pretty productive. I didn't really mind Hassan being the #1 guy. It wasn't until more recently where Hassan and that entire part of the left really dug its feet in the sand on the Gaza stuff and started really alienating most of the rest of the internet, and especially normies, that, like, it feels like that whole sphere dragged the rest of the left down with them, you know? Like, people quickly did not like anyone or anything associated with BreadTube after that, I feel. Are you saying BreadTube? I keep hearing red. Yeah, it's BreadTube. I don't know. Maybe I'm not enunciating the B enough.
For a decade, it felt like the internet belonged to us, the progressives, the feminists, the socialists, the Bernie bros, the techno-revolutionaries, the Wikipedia editors, and not just Tumblr, the internet. And then, first slowly by the co-opting of beloved online mascots like Pepe and Doge and Joe Rogan, and then, all at once, in the last year or so, the right took over the internet. In the 2010s, the culture war was ours to lose, and we fucking lost. We buffed that shit, man. Having blue hair
Real.
and an ambiguous sexual orientation, that used to be cool. Well, now, apparently, the cool punk counterculture thing is to be a misanthropic, irony-pilled Trump cell with no specific beliefs, except for maybe ChatGPT is gonna take over, and when it does, our Trump coin and Bored Apes are finally gonna recover from the libcuck rug pull. None of these words are in the dictionary, let alone in the Bible, so why do I know them?
I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was.
What it was.
What'll happen to
Yep.
you?
Meanwhile, our parents are getting brainwashed into thinking that inflation was caused by Chinese illegal immigrant trans athletes who are eating your dogs, and all of that they learned on.
Like, I know this is going to be the most boomer, like, conversation to have when doing this discussion, but man, one of the biggest black pills for me when it comes to politics is the realization that no one gives a fuck about economics when it comes to having the conversation about why things are the way they are. They just want to complain, right? And it's really hard to get certain, like, people to accept certain facts, right? Like inflation, for example. Inflation will never and should never go away. A constantly growing economy, which America has had up until recently, by necessity, needs to have some level of inflation. For America's general GDP growth year by year, the Federal Reserve generally recommends that we try to aim for around a 1 to 2% inflation rate year by year. And that's fine. It's in fact healthy and good for a growing economy. But a lot of people don't recognize that. A lot of Americans just think the fact that you used to be able to afford a Coke and burger and a basket of fries for like 75 cents, 60, 70 years ago, they think, oh, why can't we go back to those times, as if back then people were making anywhere near the amount of money they are today. Inflation definitely has its downsides, and it's a scary, like, buzzword for the most part, but honestly, to this day, one of the biggest black pills in politics for me is that I don't think we'll ever get Americans to care about understanding economics. It's really stressful, because, yeah, there's going to be times where things are good, but Americans just won't recognize it. They just refuse to recognize it. Famously, they did this during much of Biden's presidency.
Facebook, the same place that I used to unironically share memes about being a boss babe witch hexing the capitalist patriarchy. I'm not proud of it. And the Democrats, who, they're not the left, I know they're not the left. Take your hands off the keyboard, it's gonna be okay. But if you were gonna type that comment, I still need the engagement. So maybe tell me what video game you're playing, because I need a new video game. Anyway, the left wing of American politics is the Democrats.
It's true. Comment. On every video, comment. Doesn't matter what it is, just comment something. YouTube really likes it when people comment on your videos. It's like, ooh, thank you. We'll go ahead and push this out to more people now, so comment, please.
Hard to tell you, they are pouring money into throwing cringe yet lavish coconut-themed parties for online influencers. And plot twist, I was one of those influencers. And everybody is rightfully dunking on it online. Meanwhile, the Republicans seem to have an unstoppable wave of organic support from basically every podcaster who doesn't talk like with the NPR voice. Today on our show, we're gonna be discussing the ways in which, like that. So I ask, what the fuck happened? Now you might be saying, Hazel, you're catastrophizing, okay? The internet is still very left, or at least a liberal place. And to that I say,
nope.
That's right, look at it.
Look at it! Look at it! I want all of you to look at it!
almost all the most popular channels on YouTube.
You can't argue with numbers, dude. Like, the right owns the internet right now. Everyone who's online and watching content right now is almost exclusively watching conservative content.
Not to mention all the other ones, including Rumble. Should I be posting my shit on Rumble? Yeah.
No.
So they're all right-leaning. This Media Matters report shows that 9 out of the top 10 online shows had right-leaning politics, and across the internet, the right-wingers took the lion's share of the views. This is a big deal. This has real-world effects, obviously, because now they're calling the 2024 election the podcast election, and Trump is also doing this. He specifically thanked podcasters in his inauguration speech.
I want to thank some people real quick. I want to thank the Nelk Boys, Aiden Ross, Theo Vaughn, Bussin' with the Boys, and last but not least, the mighty and powerful Joe Rogan.
I got that wrong. It wasn't Trump. It was Dana White. But look at how Trump is standing behind him. It's like he's trying to smell his hair. What the fuck is going on here? Like, Bussin' with the Boys is the group chat name for the guys that he smoked weed with in freshman year. Not people who should be influencing the election of the leader of the most powerful country in the world. Is this a good bit? Because I'm actually drinking this.
I'm drinking mine too.
It's been a long week. I want to loosely quote a man that we talked to while I was at the Trump inauguration. I was filming Walter Masterson doing his whole owning the MAGA shtick, and then Walter asked the...
Oh shit, I love him. Dude, Walter Masterson replied to one of my videos reacting to his videos saying thank you for watching it. I'm glad you liked it. And that made me very happy. I'm a big fan of Walter Masterson. He's peak. If you aren't watching his stuff, then what the fuck are you doing? Go subscribe to him. His stuff is top tier.
Guy if he got all his news from Fox News, and then the guy was like, no, I get it from podcasts like Joe Rogan. And then Walter was like, you fucking idiot, you listen to Joe Rogan. And then he goes, you guys get all of your information from CNN. Fox, CNN, same thing. They can bullshit you in 2 minutes, 3 minutes for a news story. If you talk about something for 2-3 hours on a podcast, you can't bullshit someone for 2-3 hours. So that's where we're at. So to answer the question of how cooked we are, it is very. But folks, after we are chopped and cooked, we may serve and eat. Such is the circle of life. So today I want to talk about how we got here and what the hell we do next. So before I get to the juicy shit that's definitely going to piss all the lefties off, let me just say something that everybody can agree with. Money. It's money. Sure, for the Democrats, there's plenty of money floating around, especially at the DNC. I played pro-choice mini golf and danced to coconut-themed remixes of Brat, and I will not apologize. It was a free trip, and I didn't even do that much in exchange. And I will say that the vibes among the influencer content creators was basically we were, like, just waiting for her to speak and say something about Palestine and not bombing kids anymore. And then she came out with the
most lethal fighting force in the world
bit, and we were all like heads in our hands, like coconut mojito in the other hand, like, oh fuck, are we the baddies? But that's Democrat money, and that dwarfs all of the money available for the true.
No, we're not the baddies, considering there's not gonna be a Palestine anymore, guys. Like Trump won, and now there's not going to be a Palestine anymore, ever.
Left-wing, progressive, anti-capitalist types, and even the Democrat money is peanuts compared to the conservative media funding apparatus because there's just more companies, more rich people interested in getting politicians in who are going to deregulate their companies and cut their taxes. For them, conservative propaganda isn't just like a moral imperative the way that it is for the Bleeding Heart Libs. It's a straight-up good investment that will pay back. And also, it looks a lot better when the money flows from a billionaire's nonprofit to a think tank, to an advertisement agency, to some third secret intermediary, to a Jordan Peterson book promo, instead of straight from the Democrats to an influencer yacht party. I wasn't invited to.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. I mean, to be fair, we found out that Tim Pool and a bunch of other big conservative pundits were all taking big payouts from Russia's state media. But that's pretty rare. For the most part, the right actually benefits the most from some level of grassroots funding. You know, the right has a casting a wide net strategy where I'd say the lion's share of the work being done to radicalize people is not being done by the big names like Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Brett Cooper. It's not being done by those folks. I think it's being done by smaller figures that just number in the thousands at this point. You know, obviously all the people that are like orbiters of Asmongold at this point, all those right-wing VTubers, all those like slop tubers like the Quartering and Geeks and Gamers. I think it's the armies of people like that constantly flooding social media with their dog shit, like line they toe every single time anything happens in culture they decide they have to have a take on. I think that's what's doing it, because these people are mostly grassroots funded by their like own audiences and YouTube ad revenue, and I'd say it just kind of like allows for the right to have a big, money flow that doesn't look shady. They are grassroots funded. A lot of them are not taking money from Russia. It's the big names that are, but the rest are being funded grassroots. They're being supported by their constituents and whatnot. They form like podcast groups and like panel groups together, and they're very supportive of each other as a community. It feels sincere and genuine and tight-knit, and it attracts audiences when creators come together to form like a community. People really like that. When those communities break apart, the people start to kind of fall away. It's like a vase losing the water it's holding when it cracks.
To the yacht party, they didn't let me on the yacht. The right-wing media apparatus, it's funded by deep pockets, and there's plenty of books about how exactly the neoliberal movement was funded by big business, but the Democratic media apparatus does have money, so what's their problem? Well, they have no real vision or message. People wanted radical change in the last American election, and they were offered, let's keep everything the same, and we're gonna keep bombing kids, so no matter...
No, it's not lacking vision or message. I'd say the left and the Democrats are actually steeped in vision and message, but what really matters is messaging, right? Sloganeering. The right recognizes that a lot of Americans are stupid, frankly too stupid to understand half of the important political issues on the ballot these days, and the best way to get them on board with your side is to convince them that a stupid, simplified slogan that they can repeat will make them sound smart. That's what you got to do. The right comes up with oversimplified slogans about complicated political issues to make dumb people feel like they're smart when they say it. And I think the left needs to come up with snappy slogans like that.
No matter how many Joe Rogans of the liberals they try to buy, nobody is going to tune into a podcast or a stream, God forbid, about tax breaks for first-time minority small business owners. Or
that
whatever
is true.
The fuck they're doing over there. At least on the progressive left, and this is our thing that we have instead of money, is we have a vision. It just keeps getting hidden behind gatekeeping. I mean, gatekeeping in a lot of ways. Like, we don't actually kick you out if you haven't read Marx or anything, but you at least have to have played Disco Elysium. And that is not a game, that's a book. And I'm tired of pretending it's not.
That's true.
One big bonus of the anti-intellectualism of the right is that you don't feel like you have to be smart to be part of their movement. I feel underqualified all the time. And hold on, I read Capital in the 21st Century and annotated this bitch, cover to cover. Nobody's read this book but me. I checked. Ugh. Yeah, I hope you heard that.
Trust me, for the last 6 years, my biggest haters have generally been people on the left, the rest of the left, badly wanting to gatekeep me out of it. And that's been the case, I think, for most progressive figures, from like Lindsay Ellis to ContraPoints to, like Vosh to Destiny to fucking, like, even if you don't like these people, and I have my opinions on all of them, but like, these people would probably all say the same thing. The most pushback they've gotten has been from the rest of the left. Wait, why? I don't know, dude. Like, I'm not going to pretend to understand how delusional people think, but I can tell you how they act.
Noise it made. I also have a degree in economics and stuff, but nobody fucking respects that. Point being, we talk like nerds, and we kind of accidentally talk down to people. And that's why we can't reach our so coveted workers. The regular Joe who works down at the docks for too many hours and not enough money doesn't want to feel stupid for not knowing what dialectical means. He wants to have a little giggle while he's listening to Theo Vaughn. Side note, Why are we writing fucking manifestos in our memes? They don't need to be that long. Shut up. Our commitment to being, intellectual is deep down, it's a commitment to figuring out what the truth is, and that's good, because it means we're not going to be taken in by QAnon shit, or believe things like...
You know what really stuck with me? The fact that just a couple weeks ago, the meme that everyone was talking about was arguing whether 100 men could beat one gorilla. That is where people's minds are right now. That is what the kind of conversation people are interested in. Do you know who has those conversations and is famous for it? Joe Rogan and all the podcast bros that push right-wing politics that Trump and his campaign thanked for getting him the win. These are dudes who go seamlessly from talking about whether or not a lion or a gorilla would win in a fight, or a grizzly bear or a gorilla would win in a fight, to talking about how maybe a big, strong guy could do it, to talking about what kind of work you would have to do to be a big, strong guy, to seamlessly transitioning to, isn't it crazy how people think men and women are equally strong? And then from there, it pivots seamlessly into a conversation about how delusional feminism is. And then from there, it'll pivot seamlessly into a conversation about how the left is delusional. Like, it's not just the fact that it's entertaining. It's that it seamlessly takes people from a conversation about something that they are fully interested in into something that's like ideologically driven and political. But it's so smooth that, at least in most people's eyes, that it just feels like a natural conversation. And I feel like Joe Rogan has this superpower of talking about political opinions like it's just a natural conversation, making statements of fact and just talking about it. And in doing so, gives the natural impression of credibility and correctness, and doesn't even come off like he's trying to convince people to believe something. And it's a very strong superpower.
Like, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. But if we're not properly communicating that shit in an accessible way that doesn't make people feel like idiots, then we're just intellectually jerking each other off. And brother, we're running out of lubriderm. Our obsession with being correct isn't just about being factually accurate, though. It also extends to obsession with being morally right. Now, can I say something without everybody getting mad? Probably not. We do purity test. Like, we do that. Hassan Piker went on with AOC and Bernie, the two furthest left major politicians in the US, as closely aligned as possible as you can get. And then everybody got mad at him. I mean, yeah, the politicians have a lot of problems. They're not perfect, but like, they're politicians. Like, I don't know. It seems like on the right, a lot of people know that Trump is full of shit.
His audience got really mad at him because Hassan's really cultivated a lot of this type of person. A lot of people on the left aren't going to want to call it out, but like, the fact is that certain creators over the last few years have explicitly encouraged the type of behavior that has become the norm on the left right now, that has arguably brought it down to the fallen point that it's in at the moment, you know? And Hassan's one of those people. And he didn't have to be, you know? Like, I think the first big L was him going against Ukraine when Russia invaded. Or actually, not even when Russia invaded. He started going against Ukraine when news came out that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine. And since then, he has just consistently refused to take the side of Ukraine in that conflict. And from there, he's just gotten more radical and crazy and made his audience crazier. And now he does an interview with Bernie and AOC, and his own fans get mad at him. Because in their mind, that's Hassan endorsing people whose politics are not good enough for them. Like, Bernie and AOC are not good enough for them. Christ.
Shit, and they don't care because he's gonna get them to where they're trying to go. Do you understand? Another example, the YouTubers, the ones who helped me shape my political beliefs, they're basically all but gone, or they post like once a year about Twilight or something. Mainly because of cruelty, not from the conservatives, but from our team, which is why I'm making YouTube videos now. Just like and subscribe. And I'm not saying, oh, woe is me, pity the influencers. A commenter was mean to me once online and now I'm a Republican. Why I left the left? I'm dyeing my hair normal. How dare you call me out? I'm just saying that this general attitude of purity testing permeates from the top, from the, Hassans, to the bottom, all the way through. One time, a friend of a friend of a friend had someone try to shut down his Palestine fundraiser because it was a bunch of white people putting it on. Like, it's better to just shut it down and not raise the funds. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? And there is a word for this on the right, a phrase, no enemies to the right. It basically means the left is an existential threat, and so anybody who is on the right, we can't fight them, even if we think they are completely wrong, even if they're a rabid white nationalist, we will never critique them publicly. Quote, rightward criticism is a distraction. If the right's main political goal is to defeat the left, then any time spent critiquing the right is a distraction from that goal. Now, do I think we should take it that far? No, we should probably yell at people if they're being racist. But this is a tactic that the right explicitly uses. They just don't say it that loudly, because why would you? My point is, we're overeducated, we're morality pilled, and that makes us really bad at forgiving people when they're either in the wrong factually or ethically. We're constantly worried about being perceived as hypocrites. Like, you can't be in the climate movement if you drive a car. People will literally joke about apologizing to Marx every time they want to buy something. Like, there's this
Yeah, well, it's like fundamentally, it's the fact that the left is fighting for the fundamental idea of standing by principles and having principles and believing in some level of principles, while the right is like against it as if having no principles is a virtue, right? And so the left is constantly bogged down by having to take the high road by nature of like part of the left's whole ideology being about taking the high road, you know, being morally upstanding, not trying to like stoop to the level of awful people, you know? God, the infighting is so damaging to the overall cause. It is. The right is unified in their primary goal of owning the libs. They will not dominate until the left decides to counter it and actually unify. Yeah.
sense among us of guilt and anxiety about doing the wrong thing all the time. And we gotta knock it off. It's getting stupid. And there's one more problem I do want to touch on. It's that we don't really have any politicians who represent us. Maybe AOC and Bernie in the US. In Canada, honestly, we're kind of cooked. Like, I can't... Charlie Angus? I don't know. I'm not gonna chastise anybody because they didn't enthusiastically vote for Kamala when her only platform seemed to be, we're gonna keep bombing kids and everything else will stay shitty, but maybe it won't get worse.
Most lethal fighting force in the world.
That's not a good platform. But you did at least vote third party, right? You didn't just stay home, right? Right? It's kind of hard to come by decent progressive politicians, even if we're not doing purity testing bullshit. Who are we supposed to make fan cams of, other than Zoran from New York? On the other hand, we do have something for our advantage. The right don't have very specific policy proposals or visions of the future. If Republicans are supposed to be the party of family values and anti-big government and personal responsibility...
That's kind of one of the things they have going for them, though, to be fair, is the fact that they can just make up anything that they supposedly stand for, right? Like, yes, we stand for, yeah, we're gonna make other countries pay us taxes in order to import things here. Though that's what they claim, that's what Trump claims, and what Trump supporters think a tariff is other countries' governments, I think, or at the very least their corporations, paying a tax to the US government in order to import things here. They will just lie and make shit up, knowing that enough Americans don't know the truth, that they can just get away with it. Who's going to fact check a lie that, if true, is so great? You know, like, yeah, Trump's going to become president, and then he's going to start, like, demanding our share from all these other countries, and America's going to prosper. Let's hope that's true. I'm going to vote for that.
Fuck is this? This means that they don't really have to watch what they say, which is why they're so attractive to comedian contrarian types, because they'll accept anyone into their movement, even if their members and sometimes even their core beliefs contradict each other, because they understand that most politicians, most movements, most people are in some way hypocritical and self-contradictory, which I guess actually makes them the perfect people to teach the word dialectical to. They rally around vibes, not specific policies, and that last part is what we can do about it. The right wing, at least right now, is only offering a few specific policies, and most of them have to do with kicking out immigrants and almost no actual vision for how to really improve life. The right...
And this is a key thing. Remember, that lack of actual policy did win them this election. Like, people were vitriolically in favor of mass deportation. All the polling shows that even among Democrats, there was a shockingly high rate of approval for the policy of mass deportations. Americans wanted mass deportation. Their slogans are literally just meant to appeal to whatever the most popular idea is that they can win people over on in a given election. Trump is 180'd on certain positions. Last election he won, the 2016 election, Trump was completely pro-trans and used the idea of trans rights as a reason for why we can't allow Muslims into the country. You know, then he 180'd entirely, and now trans people are evil predators that have to be stopped. Trump will literally, and the Republicans now post-Trump will definitely do the same. They will change their policy, or I should say sloganeering, to whatever will attract the popular vote. That's what they want. They want to get the popular vote now. I think that's a big part of their objectives in the future. And that's why when we get that polling in the future about what are the most important issues to voters in the next upcoming election, you better believe the Republicans, every strategy, every slogan they have is going to laser focus on those top 3 issues. It'll probably be the economy as number 1 once again. And we know how Trump did with that.
Right has some vague idea of making America great again or making it.
Oh, here's the one silver lining to it all, though. Their bullshitting can only go so far. After 4 years of Trump not keeping his promise and, in fact, doing the exact opposite of what he promised, there's a very, very high likelihood there's going to be a massive pendulum swing in the opposite direction from Trump.
Insert country where you live great again. And the left needs something like that, but more specific. If we actually spoke to people's standards of living, their day-to-day experience of shitty wages and shitty jobs and lack of a safety net, and I'm basically saying all those things so I can avoid saying material conditions because that's also leftist.
I unironically think we need to bring back the old 2010s maybe meme. The rent is too damn high. Can you like that meme nowadays hits hard, bro. Rent prices in America have gone up so sharply since like 2011 when the rent is too damn high meme was a thing, especially in New York where he ran as governor. Dude, the left and the Democrats need to slogan up the rent is too damn high again. That would go hard. And swear in our slogans. Maybe throw some like soft swearing into our slogans. You know, just get a little edgy with it.
Nerd speak, but material conditions, then it'd be way harder for the right to keep up their facade of being pro-worker when we're like actually offering real solutions. The left wing is full of basically overeducated nerds, and I mean the left wing as in socialists, liberals, and whatever you want to call the Democrats, because we're not offering a very compelling vision of the future, especially for people who are like workers and not like knowledge workers, like manual work, like people. I'm trying to say people with not bullshit jobs, but I don't know how to say that. People with jobs where it's not mostly emails. We're not offering those people a compelling vision of the future. And neither is the right, but at least they're pointing out that something's wrong, and that's why they're winning. Our jobs now are to find a few specific anchor policies. Milton Friedman, who won, by the way, would call this ideas lying around and just push the shit out of them. Medicare for all, that worked. I mean, we don't have it, but like it did work as a rallying cry. Ideas of workplace democracy or worker ownership of, you know, equity in the company. That's a good one. It's a little socialist, but it's also easy to understand. There's fucking universal basic income. Everybody understands that. You get a wad of cash that gets taxed from companies that are replacing you with AI. Perfect. Done. The point is that we need a few things to rally around that are easy to understand.
I think if the Dems ran on like a UBI policy, that would probably be like an easy W election. UBI is a pretty big meme, don't get me wrong, but like, we've done it before. We've issued bailouts to the American people before. Trump had to multiple times during COVID. He was forced to do it. Things got so bad. It's not unprecedented, but I do think UBI would be a crazy popular policy if Dems pushed for it. Americans are stupid, and frankly, like, if you want to get through to them that you care about their well-being, running on a policy of just outright sending them payments every month, pretty good way to win people over and convince them you're serious.
Understand interesting solutions and also kind of no-brainers. Also, if you're Canadian, electoral reform is the one. That's the one. Now, I'd like to quickly return to this graph.
Oh.
Sorry for the jump scare. Most of these guys aren't.
Man, just look at that graph for a second.
This graph.
Look at that graph. Total following of the top right-leaning and left-leaning online shows. Am I even on here? There's no way I'm on here, right? Like, there's not a chance. There's so few blues, so there's no chance I'm in here. Yeah, no shot. No shot. Yeah, I'm not in here. But yeah, it seems like Trevor Noah is the largest at 21.2 million. And for like a little bit of a reference, you know, that means our largest left-wing online show that exists right now, the largest, is around the size of the average right-wing show, you know? Or like, you know, you got Ben Shapiro, more views. You've got Charlie Kirk nearly as big. Steven Crowder's nearly as big. Jordan Peterson is bigger. Theo Vaughn is bigger. Asmongold is apparently smaller. That's surprising. This feels like it might be outdated. Is this from like 2023 or something? Nah, 2025. Damn. But like you can see how, man, like you can't really. No, it's not outdated. This is how things are currently. This is the state of things. So the Breakfast Club, the Young Turks, what that counts for. And by the way, the Young Turks, this one being blue is I guess questionable. You know, the Young Turks is a little bit right-leaning these days, I would argue. So if this is one of the largest bubbles for the left, then we're in some trouble right now. That more or less just kind of visualizes the problem for all you guys. This is why I always tell y'all, hit that like button and comment. Because these guys, all this red, that's what their fans are doing.
Sorry for the jump scare. Most of these guys aren't overtly political. Theo Vaughn is a comedian. I have friends who listened to his podcast and didn't even know he was a Trump guy. They just thought he's funny. Joe Rogan is an interviewer. Jordan Peterson is a self-help guy. Full Send is
the craziest vendors we've ever been on.
whatever the fuck this is. Meanwhile, the Blue Dots, these are political shows. Overtly political. And so the only people who are going to watch it are already the people who, like, agree with them. So the best thing you can do isn't to argue online or politics post, which is something I'm going to have to learn myself, but it's to do cool shit as yourself and as someone who holds your values, and then just be a good role model. Don't tell people what to do, just be a role model for it.
I need a woman with a wolf cut to beat me to death. No, you don't. You need healthcare and universal basic income. That's what, don't get distracted.
And also maybe touch some grass. There's one group that I'm working with who's actually killing it at this. In Canada, they're called Common Horizons. They've chosen one very specific no-brainer policy that we're organizing around, which is an excess profits tax on the grocery stores and oil and gas industry that have been profiting off of the Canadian affordability crisis. Like, they've been proven to be doing this. We do events that are actually fun. Like, we try to make them fun. I did a game show, and they raise awareness and call for change at the same time. And then people actually want to come back instead of feeling guilted to come back. And then we do social events that aren't even about politics sometimes. Just giving people a space to chill outside of their online lefty bubble to talk about stuff. And unlike the online spaces, if someone comes with questionable views or vibes, which sometimes they do, everyone is chill and welcoming. Like, I remember one guy low-key heckled my presentation, and I was like, oh. But then the organizer chilled out with him for like a half an hour, and then he wound up writing a letter with us. Awesome. It was great. I love being in real life. And finally, all of us need to get cooler. We need to get cooler. No more hall monitor shit. I want to see swoletariat stuff. I want to see more punks and freaks and weirdos, people who truly.
That's why I'm lifting weights and shooting guns, guys. Guns, lifting weights, eating lots of red meat, grilling, hunting. These are the things the left needs to embrace. Sports, the left has to embrace these things, all right? Particularly the world of weightlifting. God, the left needs to get into weightlifting. It really, really does. It's fun, too. It is fun. I like that, though. Swoletariat. We need more swoletariat posting. We really do. So I highly recommend you go check out Hazel Is Online. Very good video from her. I really liked it. It was solid. Talked about a lot of the stuff I've been discussing lately on my stream, and really concisely broke it all down. It gave me a good platform from which I could kind of give my takes and rant about stuff, you know? Thirst trap Zan? Exactly. You gotta become big and swole for the thirst trapping. Exactly. Exactly. Of all the things I have criticisms for when it comes to Hassan, that is not one of them. Hassan has been jacked maxing very well. You know, he gets his calories in, he gets his protein in, and I respect it. I'm thinking of the lightly pivoting my YouTube channel to be less overtly political for this exact reason. Just live stream, hang out, and talk about this shit I care about every so often. To be fair, that's what I do. Like, I don't even necessarily just talk politics. Nor do I consider myself an exclusively... Oh my god. Excuse me, I can't stop burping. Nor do I consider myself an exclusively political streamer. I mostly just talk about what I find interesting and important, and a lot of it does kind of root back to politics. I am a very, like, politically obsessed person in real life. Like, anyone who talks to me off stream can tell you that, like, I go on political rants worthy of stream segments, like, off stream when just chatting with friends, you know? Like, it's just, I care about politics. It's just something I'm passionate about and will probably always be passionate about. Zan, my girlfriend, is getting into weightlifting so she can be strong enough to pick me up. Hell yeah, I love that. That's gonna be awesome. Make sure, she's, like, finding resources online to maximize her gains. I can confirm, lol. Yeah, Perry's been there and seen me go on these, political rants. I just like politics. I don't know what to say. Maybe we can recommend some normie topics that aren't political? Yeah, it could be a good time. Learn some fighting skills or jargon, too. That helps to unironically get male attention. Yeah, dude, I want a punching bag, bro. I want to set up, like, a punching bag in my garage and have, just an area where I can practice, kicks and punches. I used to do, jujitsu when I was younger, and on Fridays we did our, striking training. And so that's when we got to practice our jabs, crosses, kicks, and it was so fun. It was so fucking fun just to do drills, like basically for like 2 hours straight. You know, taught me to throw a pretty decent punch, and I need to practice. It's fun. I like it. Also, punching bag is literally made for punching things. Like, it's made to punch. You know, you can just, if you need something to beat up, it's right there. You know, just take your anger out on it if you're pissed off about something. I have been into weightlifting because of my buddy Orion. He's cool. He's got a hot older brother. Well, good luck with that, TSW the Shadow Wolf. The left could mimic the right and show blind loyalty towards a single leftist who can fight. Forget about policy for now. As long as they're doing work fighting the right, we stay unified. Yeah, problem is there aren't a lot of people out there that are like that or willing to get on board with that. Anyway, folks. With all that said, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, enjoyable, or educational in any way, please consider leaving a like and a comment. It's the best way to counter the right's domination of the internet space right now, as every like and comment you leave boosts my channel in the algorithm and forces YouTube to show my channel and my content to new people. I really do appreciate it. If you don't know what to comment, by the way, you can just leave a comment down below that says, "Victory for the left." It'll help a lot. I do appreciate it. Subscribe and ring the bell icon if you haven't already, and turn on all notifications so that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video. And if you want to see more from me on other platforms, you can follow my social medias linked down below in the description, where you'll be able to find more stuff from me in the future. And I highly recommend you join my fan Discord, which is basically the main hub of my fan base and community. I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and movie nights there every Friday, every week, and on top of that announce all my new uploads and streams there just in case YouTube bugs out and doesn't tell you, so I highly recommend you join. And of course, finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub to someone else on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in the future.